We live in a time when moderates are treated worse than extremists, being punished as if they were more fanatical than the actual fanatics. I'm sure quite a few people in my audience have had thoughts relating to this or something like this over the last 2 or 3 years. Everything now has gotten so polarized that no one can see what's really happening. Everything is falling apart, and on both sides, we have groups looking to saviors, individuals, to be the deliverance. For those of you who are wondering who Orson Scott Card is, how many of you remember the movie and the book Ender's Game? The future must be one. Not one for us. One. We now know who the candidates are going to be. And I have watched over the last 72 hours just about every pundit from every angle talking about this, and nobody has actually addressed the correct issue. Donald Trump picking J.D. Vance is the exact same thinking that Kamala Harris had when she picked Tim Walz. Neither one of these VP picks are any kind of a nod to the center. Donald Trump found the one individual that could possibly be described as to the right of him, and Kamala Harris picked, to the chagrin and shock of a lot of Democrats, the one person that could be seen as possibly to the left of her. Neither camp believes that they need to court moderates, and this is unique in history. Even Donald Trump, when he picked Mike Pence, was at that time being seen as giving a nod to the more centrist group of conservatives. And who remembers way back when Barack Obama picked Joe Biden, the same thing. Hillary Clinton actually did the same thing with Tim Kaine. I know a lot of you don't think that they're centrists, but compared to now, they are. Now, we're going to break this down real quick and show why there are a lot of people who just don't see this. The moderates are going to sit this one out. It's going to be a war of extremists. And that they both believe, Donald Trump and Kamala Harris, they both believe they can win as long as they keep their base activated. Neither camp thinks they need to reach to the middle. That's going to be an interesting thing to see when it all plays out. Now, real quick, battlefield of the mind. I'm sure a lot of you are like, yeah, nobody has said this, but this is the truth. If you think about it, this is the case. Why wouldn't either side be worried about the middle? You see, I think there's something else going on in the works. I'm wondering, and this is going to sound crazy, if both sides might be trying to lose because they know something is coming that neither one of them is going to be able to stop, and they're going to be held responsible for it. And it has to do with semantics. Now, most people think semantics. What does this have to do with battlefield of the mind or psychological operations? Well, it's just the choice of words that you use to describe something that sometimes the words are synonymous, but depending on how you use them, you can make them seem as if they're opposites. And I'm going to show a perfect example here in just a couple of minutes. But real quick, just wanted to say thank you to everyone who continues to sign up over at the Florida Maquis Patreon channel. You guys are making the difference. You are now standing in the gap. You are keeping the channel going. There's just no other way to talk about it. I appreciate it, and I am so humbled by it. It's only $1 per month. Even less if you sign up for an entire year, and fully refundable. First 90 days, no questions asked. God bless all of you. And like I said, kick the tires for 90 days. That puts you past the election. Seriously, you could watch videos over there from now until after the day after the election. And if it's not for you, you can get all $3 single back. No questions asked. Love to have you. Hundreds and hundreds of videos. Would probably take you at least that amount of time to watch all of them. So, let's get started. How many of you saw this? Donald Trump, at Real Donald Trump. Home prices up 39% since Biden and Harris took office. 39%. Home prices up since Biden took office. See, when you look at it, when you couch it like this, that's terrible. People can't buy homes, and it's because of Bidenflation and Bidenomics. Really? Okay. Okay, so home prices, we're establishing now. Home prices going up is a bad thing. Right? Now, let's hop into the Wayback Machine to 2016. Has there been a, quote, Trump effect on, you ready for the term here? You ready for the semantics? On property values. TRD analysis of 2016 election results and Zillow data shows a median gain of 25% in property values, not home prices, property values. In July, President Trump announced that the Department of Housing and Urban Development would repeal an Obama-era rule requiring localities that receive federal funding to break down barriers to fair housing. Quote, and this is Donald Trump speaking, I am happy to inform all of the people living their suburban lifestyle dream that you will no longer be bothered or financially hurt by having low-income housing built in your neighborhood. Trump tweeted, your housing prices will go up based on the market and crime will go down. Though it's too soon at this time it was to see the effects of the repeal. Well, wait, can we see the effects of the repeal? Home prices are up 39% only 7 or 8 years later. The Real Deal used election and housing data to see how property values changed across the country over the last 4 years. This is 2016 to 2020. In pitching himself as a protector of the suburban way of life, Trump was playing to his base. In the 2016 election, he dominated in smaller counties with higher rates of home ownership. According to an analysis of American Community Survey estimates and election data, I don't think that surprises a lot of people. Trump dominated in the suburbs and in rural areas. In urban areas, he didn't do so good. Now, counties where more than 70% of the electorate voted for Trump saw a median increase of 19.5% in property values between September 2016 and September 2020. That's a marginal increase over blue and purple counties. Now, imagine, if you will, if Trump had been able to brag about 39% increases. Change in property values over previous presidential terms. You ready for this? It's going to blow your mind. George Bush Sr., 36%. George Bush Jr., W., 8.4%. Obama, first term, property values down 15.4%, or home prices down 15.4%. Obama 2 up 26, so I guess that's a net gain of 11%. Trump 1, 24.5%, and I bet he would brag about that. Now let's go back here. Now it's a bad thing. Semantics, my friend. Semantics. This is what happens when you react emotionally to information based on how it's couched and the types of words. Now, there's a lot of folks out there that take this issue up with Florida and insurance rates and tax rates because, well, Florida's a red state now. I love showing this again just so people know how bad it was for the Democrats in the last, 2016 to now. How bad it's been. And truly, it's been since 2020. Governor DeSantis had 4.6 million votes. Charlie Crist had 3 million votes, 3.1. The Democrats control all of the major urban centers. The Democrats control all of the major urban centers in Florida. And they lost the governor's race in Jacksonville, even in the southern part of Miami-Dade where it's all Spanish speakers. You remember those evil, terrible, horrible Spanish speakers that are coming here that are going to vote all blue? They're going to vote Democrats. I guarantee you will not find more Spanish speakers in a more dense environment than in southern Miami-Dade. There are areas down here, huge swaths, where there is no English spoken, and they voted for DeSantis because they're conservatives. Look at Tampa. You see, it can be done. The Democrats spent a huge amount down here to lose by 20 points. A huge amount. See, this is one of those things where you have to ask yourself a question. Well, gosh, all of the people moving here, coming here, they're clearly all conservatives. And the people that are leaving are all Democrats. Here's a great, and even Vox, even super liberal, lefty, progressive Vox, VOX, has a breakdown on this, an excellent breakdown on this, right here on YouTube. How Republicans conquered Florida, why the Democrats have pulled out, and why we're not even really worried about who the president's going to be. Hasn't changed Florida one bit. See, that's kind of the contravention, the contradiction in thinking. You hear a lot of channels out there, especially conservative ones now, decrying, oh no, what if Kamala wins? Oh no, Walz is super lefty. It's Biden and Harris for the last 3.5 years, and Florida has never been more conservative. Never. Never been more conservative, ever. And those of you who are saying, we have to have Trump for this and that and the other, which Trump is my question? Is it the Trump that said Congressman Ron DeSantis is a brilliant young leader, Yale and then Harvard Law, who would make a great governor of Florida? He loves our country and is a true fighter. Or is it the Donald Trump that'll say Ron DeSanctimonious wants to cut your Social Security and Medicare, closed up Florida in his speeches, loves rhinos, Paul Ryan, Jeb Bush, and Karl Rove, disasters all, is backed by Globalist Club for No Growth, Lincoln Pervert Project. Funny thing there. He's talking about the Lincoln Project and Uninspired Cook, and it only gets worse from there. He is a rhino in disguise whose poll numbers are dropping like a rock. Good luck, Ron. Or is it the Donald Trump that then said, I'm very happy to have the full and enthusiastic support of Governor Ron? Which one is it going to be? So you know that Lincoln Pervert Project? See, he forgot something. Newsmax. Former First Lady Melania Trump is set to host a fundraiser for the Log Cabin Republicans. Those of you who know who they are, they make the Lincoln Project seem like God-fearing Christians. The nation's largest Republican organization dedicated to representing LGBTQIA, whatever. I just get too many letters. It's ridiculous. Conservatives and allies, blah, blah, blah. His own wife raised money for people that were far worse than who Donald Trump was decrying, supporting Ron DeSantis. It's just bizarre. Maybe it'll be this Donald Trump. We hear him now saying, the economy's going to crash. It's going to be a major crash under Democrats. Democrats, it's going to be a bloodbath. It's going to be a financial bloodbath. But then there's the Donald Trump that said, in many cases, he identifies as a Democrat back in 2004, and the economy does better. Maybe it's this Donald Trump that'll show up. Taking away the guns early, due process second. Oh, my favorite Trump. Maybe this one. I hope everyone remembers when they're getting the COVID-19 vaccine that if speaking of Donald Trump, wasn't president, you wouldn't be getting that beautiful shot for 5 years at best. And probably wouldn't be getting it at all. I wonder how many died suddenlies there wouldn't be. I wonder how many died suddenlies there wouldn't be if it hadn't been for Operation Warp Speed. Still want to keep going? Maybe we'll get the Trump that wants 5G and even 6G. More powerful, faster than the current standard, February 21, 2019. Can you imagine? I want you to think right now, after October 7th, if this was leaning over the chair smiling, if this was Joe Biden, if this was Kamala Harris, if this was Tim Walz, do you know who is seated here signing this wonderful deal? This is Muhammadu Buhari. Muhammadu Buhari is one of the most vehement activists trying to promote Sharia law across the entire globe, specifically Africa. Can you imagine for 1 minute if the person smiling here was bragging about doing deals with a huge Islamic fundamentalist? Or if it was at real Joe Biden saying, spoke with Mark Fisher yesterday, great guy, very honored to have his and BLM's support. This happens when you keep the receipt. And I don't even want to get into this picture. Take Donald Trump out of this picture and put anyone else in, and their political career is over. You take anyone else and put in this picture, their political career is done. Oh, and those of you out there, especially those of you who have joined us at the Florida Monkey Patreon channel, remember my allegation about why the border has been so open? Why European Gen Z aren't having kids, and on top of not having kids, they don't want to do hard work. They don't want to climb onto roofs and hammer in shingles. They don't want to be plumbers. They don't want to be electricians. They don't want to drive trucks, even truly. They don't want to clean bathrooms. They don't want to make beds. They don't want to do laundry. They don't want to be cooks. They don't want to do anything like that. European, all-white, Gen Z. There just aren't any of them that want to do blue-collar labor of any kind. And what did I say? I said they're coming here to breed. They're coming here to have kids. Because there aren't any willing to do the jobs that are necessary. And lo and behold, one of the most popular TikToks out there, quote, "My white guilt is so prevalent that I don't feel comfortable with the idea of having 100% white children." Those of you who have joined us over the Florida Monkey Patreon channel, maybe not the rest of you, will know that I called this years ago. I called this years ago. You see, Tim Walz is the white guilt vote. Tim Walz is in this position because Kamala Harris, instead of picking another minority or someone who's a compatriot, wanted to have under her thumb an older white person who lived in a continual state of white guilt, who wanted to apologize for being who they are, and wanted to activate that group of people to go get motivated, to continue to apologize for being who they are. He's the white guilt vote. This is something I talked about, and boy, it set a lot of people off a long time ago. I said, this is what's happening. They are bringing people here to create a new demographic dynamic. Maybe that's the best way to say it in a G-rated way. A new demographic dynamic, and you can look this up. White guilt is affecting white girls to the extent that they don't think having 100% white children is helpful. So they're going to find other to have children with. So, Once again, if you're interested in knowing what's going to happen a year and a half, 2 years out, join us. Florida Maquis Patreon channel. Be down in the description box. Just click on the link. There's a $1 level. There is a $5 level, but it's not required. There's a handful of videos over there for the folks at the $5 level. They are absolutely fantastic folks, and the videos, believe me, you probably should watch a few of the $1 videos before you decide to take the plunge on the $5 level. Because we're taking the gloves off. We're going to talk about things that nobody else will talk about. Say things that nobody else will say. Not even your most conservative folks over on Rumble or BitChute or whatever will say what we say over at Patreon. Because even they have a level of political correctness that they don't want to mess with. Because over there, Rumble and Parler and BitChute's still all free. Just like here at YouTube, it's free. If it's free, you're the product. If it's free, there's no speed bumps. Any troll, any fake account, any VPN holder can go in and be anybody doing anything. Could be military intelligence, could be anyone. And they would do everything they can to destroy your channel. When you put in the speed bump, when you put in, if like I said, if I could charge a dime a month, I'd charge a dime. Just to put in the speed bump to stop them. And everybody over at the Patreon channel is accountable for everything they say in public. No fake accounts over there. You got to be you. So once again, that's what's going on. We live in a time where moderates are treated worse than extremists, being punished as if they were more fanatical than the actual fanatics. I can't think of a better way to describe this. Neither side now gives one rat's rear end about the middle. And when it comes down to a game of voting, and this is what our next Patreon video is going to be about, by the way. When it comes down to a game of voting against, which is what this is going to turn into. See, a vote for somebody is a thoughtful vote. I'm voting for this person for these positive, affirmative reasons. Not because they're just not somebody else. If you're saying I'm voting for Trump bans regardless of anything because if we have to stop Kamala, that's a vote against. And that's an emotional thing. And if it comes down to a game of emotions, I don't like Trump's chances. Because the left has been manipulating their voters into operating emotionally. No thought required. Virtually my entire life. Goes all the way back. But I'm not going to give away the entire Patreon video here. $1. It's all I'm asking, and it's refundable. It's not for you. Love to have you. God bless. Pray for each other. Pray for me. I'll pray for you. Lift each other up. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.